Hi, I'm Jess and I'm going to take you through a beginner's mat class. So all you need is your mat and a resistance band and we'll get started. So we'll start on hands and knees on the mat. Set your hands directly underneath your shoulders. Set your knees directly underneath your hips. We're going to start by getting the spine moving. So we're going to tuck our tailbone under, round up segment by segment into our cat stretch. Chin tucks last. And then we'll reverse that, sticking our tailbone out behind us. Segment by segment extends until you're looking ahead. And again, tucking under, rounding up through the spine, and then reverse like a wave going through the body, rolling through towards your head. Let's do a couple more in each direction. Getting rid of any stiff spots along the way. And then we'll take a thread the needle. So we're going to take our left hand up, we're going to rotate, and we're going to reach the arm through. Try and keep the pelvis fairly still so that we isolate that rotation to our rib cage. So we get stretch through the chest. And reach. Let's do that 2 more times. And last one there. And then we'll switch. Place that left hand back underneath your left shoulder. Take your right hand up this time. And reach it through. And again, rotating. That chest opening. Another 2. And last one. And then set back up with your wrists directly underneath your shoulders. We're now going to find our neutral spine. So let's think about the tailbone sticking out behind us slightly. So we find that natural curve in our lower back. Gently set your shoulder blades away from your ears. And lengthen the neck by gently tucking your chin. Keeping this position, zip up your tummy. So it's like a zipper, like you're trying to get into some low, tight jeans. That's our stabilizing muscles that we want to help us keep the back and pelvis still. So can you keep that connection and reach your right leg out behind you? Float the left arm forward, so you're now balancing an opposite arm and leg. And then bring that back underneath. And again. Left leg, right arm, stabilize, and then bring that back in underneath. Right leg, left arm, check that right shoulder is staying away from your ear as you hold, and bring that back in. And left leg, right arm, and check that left shoulder stabilizing away from your ear. And bring that back in. Let's do a couple more each side. Feel that length through the body, like you're reaching your foot away from you. Not lifting too high, but feeling that feeling of length through the body. Good, we'll just do one more time each side. Good. So then we're going to widen our hands. They're a little bit wider than shoulder distance apart. We're going to step our knees back. We're going to find a kneeling version of plank here. Again, I want you to zip up through the tummy. So find that little zip up. Keep a long spine, long neck, chins gently tucked. We're going to see if we can go into some push-ups. Just stay in the range that you can control, taking your chest down and pressing the floor away. Aiming for somewhere between 8 and 10 here. Making sure that you're Head isn't dropping first thing down to the mat, nor are your hips or pelvis. Couple more, and then you'll take a child pose. So in child pose, bottom reaches back to heels. Take some slow breaths into this position. Trying to expand the rib cage sideways as you breathe in. And then we're going to start to make our way down onto our stomach. With our hands stacked down underneath our forehead. And just continue with your slow breaths and try and see if you can let the body relax into the mat in this position. Letting go of any tension you can feel that's holding on anywhere. See how low you can get your breath. Can you get air right down into your back? Two more breaths here. And then we will set our forearms up so that they're about shoulder distance apart. You're going to press through your forearms and lift the head and chest, and then lower the chest back down towards the mat. Pressing through the forearms, lifting the head and chest, and lowering that back down. We're just getting some movement into our upper back. Let's do two more. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Elbows will be off this time. And take that up into some lumbar extension, just as far as you feel comfortable. So listen to your body. Mobilizing that lumbar spine, so the bottom of our back. Let's do two more. And final one. And then we'll lay our hands back underneath our forehead and relax the body back into the mat. From here, see if you can gently zip up your tummy again. So find that zipper. Forehead gently presses into the backs of the hands, and that will keep your neck long. We're going to then see if we can do a small lift, hovering above the mat, and then relax back into the mat. Small lift up and lower. Small lift and lower. Keep zipping up the tummy to support the lower back as you lift. On this next one, stay lifted. Reach your arms long. Think about fingers reaching to feet so your shoulders are away from your ear. Keep the neck long by keeping your chin tucked. Let's start to turn our hands. Our palms face up. We're going to rotate them to face down. Palms face up, rotate. Now think about spiraling the arms, the whole length of the arms up to your shoulders, so that as your shoulder blades slide together, your palms face down, and then they'll slide a little bit apart as your palms face back up. So really try and get the movement all the way up into the shoulder blades in both of those directions. Keep that feeling of length through the arms as we connect into the backs of our arms and shoulder blades. For 3, 2, and last one. And then bring your hands back underneath your forehead and relax back down. From here, find that zip up again from your lower tummy. Reach your right leg long, squeezing the buttock, little lift, and then lower that back to the mat. Same for the left leg, reach it long, squeeze the buttock, little lift. So we're only lifting as high as we can keep our back really still. We're using our tummy to help support the back. We're going to keep alternating the legs, but we're going to see if we can add our arms in. So this time as the right leg lifts, that left arm floats up. Keep a feeling of length through the body. Keep zipping up the tummy, keep the neck long by keeping the chin gently tucked. Good, let's do one more time to each side. And then we're going to take that into what we call swimming. So our legs are going to kick like we're kicking in freestyle. Keep the length through the legs, buttock squeeze, tummy zipped up. If you can add your arms, paddle them. Make sure you're breathing. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax all the way back down. Well done. Rolling over onto your side when you're ready. Have your knees up. We're going to set ourselves up with our arms reaching out in front. This next one is called a book opener. We're going to reach the top hand forward and take a breath in. We're going to rotate right around like we're laying on our back. Take a full breath in into your stretch. And then as you breathe out, bring that back through. Reach and rotate. And bring that back through. Let's do 3 more. Reach and rotate, opening up the chest, using your breath. Really nice stretch if you've been sitting at a desk or working in front of you. Let's do 1 more. Good. Then we're going to support our head with that underneath arm. We're going to bring our knees back so that our heels are in line with our bottom. We're going to try and lift the underneath waist a little bit away from the mat. And let's bring the top hand up on top of our pelvis so that we have feedback as to whether we're keeping this still. We're going to have our tailbone sticking out behind us slightly so we're in our neutral. And we're going to lift that top knee and foot and lower back down. Keeping the pelvis really still. Find that movement at the hip. So this is your bent knee lift. What we're trying to do is start to find some connection into the side glute here while we keep everything else still. So on this next lift, I'll get you to hold up there and start to draw a circle, like the circle is coming from your kneecap. So like you're drawing a circle. It doesn't matter which way you go because we will reverse it. Aiming for 10 in each direction to keep working that side glute. Check in that that underneath waist is still active, so still lifted. Staying still underneath that top hand. And then when you're ready, we'll reverse for 10. Might be starting to feel this muscle working, heating up a little bit. And then we'll reach the leg out nice and long, and we'll do some circles now with a straight leg. Keep them small so you can keep still at your pelvis. Moving all the way up into that hip joint, which is a ball and socket joint. So it allows us to do this rotation. And reverse for 10. Leg might start to feel a bit heavier. Glute might start to get to a burny feeling, which is that lactic acid buildup. For 3, 2, and 1. And we're going to pulse little ones for 10, just above hip height. Working into that burn for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And bring that down. You can give that bum a hit. And what we'll do is keep the underneath knee bent, but straighten the top leg. And prop up onto your forearm. You're going to set your underneath elbow pretty much underneath the shoulder. We're going to press up here into a kneeling side plank. So we're pushing from the forearm. We're going to push from that underneath knee. We're going to come up, reach the top hand to the ceiling if you can. And then if you can, float that top leg up. Let's hold here. Let's stay here for 3 slow breaths. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. One more breath here. And breathing out. Carefully bring yourself back down. We're going to do one more repeat. You can either stay in that same position. If you're happy to work that little bit harder, straighten out the underneath leg, and it goes behind that front leg. This time you're going to push through your feet, push through your forearm, come up into that side plank, reaching that top hand up if you can. And again, we're holding here for 3 slow breaths. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Last breath here. And out. Slowly bring yourself back down to the mat. Well done. So we're going to head over to the other side. Even that out. So we started with our book openers. So we'll have our knees bent. They can be forward. And our arms reaching out in front. Let's take a reach. And let's rotate the chest. Take a full breath in into that stretch. And then bring that back through. Reaching, rotating, opening the chest up. Use your breath in. And breathing out to bring that back through. Let's keep going there. Opening up the chest, the lungs, the ribs. Let's do 2 more. And a final one. And then we'll set up for our side glutes for this side. So we're going to bring our knees back so our heels are in line with our bum. We're going to lift that underneath waist up. We're supporting our head with the underneath arm, and the top hand can come up on your pelvis and make sure that that's staying nice and still. We're going to lift top knee, top foot. So bent knee lift. We're going to do about 10 of these. Waking up the other side glute. And these muscles are important stabilizers of a lot of our joints, from our knees up to our hips, our lower back and pelvis. So we want to make sure that we have good endurance with them. So that's why we're doing reps working into some burn. underneath waist is still lifted. Once you get to 10, we will start to draw that circle from the front of our kneecap. Making sure that the pelvis isn't moving, so where your hand is, it's staying still. So you're stabilizing. And then get ready to reverse it for 10, circling the knee in the opposite direction. So the movement comes all the way up into our hip joint. Feeling that glute warm up. And then once you do that last one, straighten the leg. We're going to keep those circles happening. Keep yourself nice and still through the body, just that leg moves. Working into a bit of fatigue. And reverse for 10. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. See if you can pulse for 10 to finish this side off. Mine's definitely burning. For 3, 2, and 1, and all the way down. Give that side a bit of a rub if it needs. And what we'll do is then come up onto our elbow. So elbow setting underneath shoulder. We're taking weight through the forearm. The underneath knee stays bent. The top leg is straight. We're going to press down through the forearm and that underneath knee. For the first one, we're just in a kneeling plank. Can you lift that top leg? Can you hold here? For 3 slow breaths. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. One more breath here. And carefully bring yourself all the way back down. Either repeating that or going into your full side plank with that underneath leg straightening. It's behind the top leg. Press through the forearm, press through the feet. Lifting up, working here through our obliques, our side tummy as we hold for 3 more slow breaths. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. One more breath. And then carefully lower yourself back down to the mat. Well done. We're going to lay down on our back next. So we're going to have our heels in line with our sit bones, so about hip distance apart. We're going to have our palms facing down. You can press the arms down to help you widen the chest. We're going to have our head heavy, neck relaxed. And we're going to take a little pelvic tilt. Tilt your pelvis towards you and then away from you. And a little tilt towards you and away from you. Feel the movement just at the very bottom of your back. 2 more here. Good. Find neutral. So find that midway position. In this position, we have our natural curve between our lower back and the mat. And let's bring our hands to rest this time on our pelvis. Try and keep the pelvis nice and still. We're going to go into a bent knee fall out. So let's start by taking the left knee out to the side, opening the hip, but keeping the pelvis still underneath your hands. And then bring that back in. And we'll alternate. Right knee out to the side and back in. And if you can really focus on that little zip up from your lower tummy, so just above your pubic bone, to help you keep your pelvis still underneath your hands as we just open up through one hip. So you're just moving the leg in that range that you can stabilize. And let's do 2 more to each side. Good. Then bring your arms back down by your sides. This time we're going to roll all the way up into a bridge position. So all 10 toes are down on the mat, but you've got more weight through your heels. We're going to peel the tailbone off. We're going to start to roll our way up into bridge, reaching your knees forward in the direction of your toes. Take a breath in at the top. Keep the length through your body as you breathe out, drawing your rib cage down to the mat first, segment by segment through the spine, tailbone releases last. And again, tucking that tailbone, peeling your way up, find your bridge position, and then rolling down segment by segment with your tailbone coming down last. And again. And rolling down. 2 more like this. Working on that mobility from the rib cage to the spine. And 1 more, and we're going to stay lifted this time. So keep that feeling of length through the body, those knees reaching forward. We are now going to hinge at our hips. So let's think about leading with our sit bones, or leading with our bottom. Let's take a hinge down, about 3/4 the way to the mat, and squeeze our buttocks to lift. Down and press. Down and press. The more you push through your heels, it'll help you get your glutes working. Down and press. Last 2. On the last one, hold at the bridge. This time take your knees apart, open the hips, and back in. Apart, and back in. Let's just do 3. And back in. 2. And last one. And let's roll our way down slowly, segment by segment, until our tailbone releases. Well done. Straighten the left leg and just gently guide that right knee across the body for a stretch. You can turn your head to look to your right hand. Take some slow breaths there. And then release that stretch. And we'll switch, taking now the left arm out to the side, turning your head that way as the right knee goes across the body. Taking a couple of breaths. And then bring that all the way back through. With our knees bent, just gently sway the knees from side to side. Arms can be out about 45 degrees to the sides. So we're prepping for spine twist. 1 more time each way. And then the legs will come up into tabletop. So let's float 1 leg to tabletop, other leg to tabletop. Take a breath in and take the knees over to one side. Breathe out, bring your knees back to center. Breathe in, take the knees over to the other side. Breathing out, bring the knees back to center. You'll continue to go side to side. Keep your head heavy, your neck relaxed. Keep your shoulder blades anchored to your mat and those arms staying connected to the mat or floor. Just taking that as far as you feel comfortable. Trying to use your tummy to pull you back through to the center. Let's do 1 more each way. And then we'll give our knees a little hug into our chest. Draw some circles one way and the other. And then bring our legs to tabletop again, this time arms by our sides. Let's go into some toe taps. So as you breathe out, we're going to tap the toes of one foot down to the mat. Breath in, float that leg back up and switch sides. Find that zipper. So find that zip up from the lower tummy to help keep your spine still in your neutral position. So we're not squashing the lower back into the mat. We're in neutral as we just tap the floor. Head heavy, neck relaxed, face relaxed, breathing. We're going to change the foot movement. So let's flex through the ankle and lower down for a heel tap. Just means you have to reach that a little bit lower this time. So keep zipping up the tummy as you tap. Good, let's do 2 more times each side. And then let's hug those knees again. Little circles to release the bottom of your back. And then let's bring our legs back to tabletop and float our fingertips this time up towards the ceiling. We're going to reach our right leg to straighten. So single leg stretch, reach it and see if you can take that left arm overhead. Breathing in to come back in, let's switch. Left leg with right arm. Breath in to come back in. Again, we're using that zip up from our lower tummy to keep our back still in neutral. Reaching the leg long, doesn't have to go too low. Just in that range you can control. Keep the ribs slid down, direction of your pelvis, making sure they're not flaring up. Let's aim for 2 more each side. Last one each side. And then hug those knees. Little circles, well done. So we're going to then grab our band. We're going to tie the band around our legs in either a double knot or a bow and tie it so that when your knees are together, it's fairly tight. So that will give us some resistance. Let's bring our feet back to hip distance apart. Arms back down, pressing into the floor. We're going to roll ourselves up into bridge, keeping the knees just gently pressing out into that band. We're going to go back into our hip hinges. So we're going to fold and press. Adding the band will just help us activate our glutes a little bit more on this second round. Pressing from the heels. Two more. And hold at the top. This time, like we did without the band, take our knees apart and back to center. Apart and back to center. Keep going there. Feeling the side glutes working again. Feeling that open through the front of the hips. Keep the spine long so you're not using your back. See if we can alternate between those two movements. Can you hinge down, press up, knees apart, and back in. Down, up, out, in. Let's keep that going. Down, up, out, in. Down, up, out, in. You'll feel that the band intensifies the work into your glutes. Again, working to a little bit of burn. 2 more in each direction. Down, up, out, in, and slowly lower all the way down. We're going to take our feet wide. We're going to turn our toes out and our knees out. So we're in a turnout position. We're going to push through the heels. Make sure your feet aren't too far away from you. And lift our hips up, keeping that turnout. Let's go down and press. We're really biasing our glutes in this position. Press, down and press. Aim for another 5 if you can. 4, 3, 2, and last one. And slowly lower all the way back down. Good job. Walk those feet back to just hip distance apart. Find your neutral spine, so where you have that very slight curve at the lower back, and bring your hands back to sit on your pelvis. So like we did with our bent knee fall out earlier, this is now against some resistance. So can you keep your pelvis still and your hands, that right knee still, and take your left knee out to the side and resist the band and come back in slowly. Alternate the legs. Right knee out to side and slowly back in. Left knee out to side and slowly in. We're going to keep that going, just working in that range where you can stabilize. So think about that zipper again from our lower tummy just before we start to move to help us stay still through the back and pelvis. We're going to do a couple more each way. Last one each way. Good job. We can untie that knot. And we're going to use our band for a stretch now. So let's put the band around the arch of the foot and pull the leg up into a hamstring stretch. So you'll feel that stretch down the back of the leg. Try and relax your breathing. Taking slow breaths, trying to expand the ribcage sideways as you breathe in. And trying to get the air quite low by breathing slowly. So we're going to then take the leg across, out to the side into an inner thigh stretch. Feeling that stretch now on the inside of your thigh, your adductors. And then take the leg across the body and stretch the outside hip. You might get a bit of a stretch through the outside of the leg. And then let's bring that in and switch. Find your hamstring stretch. Take some slow breaths into that stretch. Take the leg out to the side. Find that stretch through the adductor, so that inner thigh muscle. And then take it across the body. And bring it all the way back through. Good, take the foot out. Have the knees bent. Have your back in neutral. Bring the arms back up to the ceiling with the band so that you're holding on about shoulder distance apart. Let your head be heavy, neck relaxed, and let's just pull out with our band and back in. So we're opening up through the chest. If you can, bring your legs up to tabletop and keep going there with that arm movement, opening the chest. we're going to start to add our legs in. So as we pull out, can we add our toe tap back in like we did earlier? Zipping up the lower tummy to tap the foot down. Keep your slow breathing, making sure you're not holding your breath. We're going to then see if we can change that movement again back into our heel tap. So flex through the ankle, taking that heel down to tap the mat. So we're reaching down that little bit further, using our lower tummy. Last one. Good job. Float the legs down one by one. Float the arms down. Pop the band back off to the side. And from here, we're going to interlink our hands behind our head. Our thumbs can run the length of our neck. Chin's gently tucked, our head's relaxed. And we're in neutral in terms of our lower back position. So there's that small curve. Your tailbone's touching the mat. Try and keep it down. And as you breathe out, think about the lower ribs sliding in the direction of your pelvis to flatten your abdominals, and then breathing into lower. Breathe out. Lift. Breathe in lower. So we're coming up into the chest lift. Back of the chest lifts off the mat. Wide, flat abdominals. If you're seeing a little pop of your belly, often it means that you're pushing your lower back down into the mat and losing your neutral. So try and keep the pelvis nice and still. Keep the head heavy. If you can bring your legs to tabletop, we'll continue there. Otherwise, keep them down and continue as you were. Last one there. And then lower the head, float those feet back down. We're going to then make our way up from here and set ourselves back up onto the mat on hands and knees. So like we started, wrists directly underneath shoulders, knees under hips. We're going to zip our tummy up, tuck our toes under, nice long neck, and hover our knees from the mat. Make sure that the shoulders are away from your ears as you hold that hover for 3 slow breaths. Take a stretch into down dog. So you're going to reach your bottom up into the air, pressing through the hands, finding that stretch. Let's then pedal our legs. So we're going to drop one heel down to the mat, getting some length in the back of our legs, right down to our calves. Good. Bend the knees. We're going to then set up into a plank position. So we're going to step the legs back one by one, find that nice long line, and hold here. Keep that zip done up from lower tummy. Shoulders away from ears. We're here for another 3 slow breaths. Knees come down. Take a child pose, bottom back to heels. Good. Let's set back up into our hover. So hands directly underneath shoulders. Tuck the toes under. Zip up your tummy, hover those knees. 3 slow breaths. Take that up into your stretch, so into down dog. Pedal those legs. Find a plank, and if you do prefer to do a plank on your forearms, especially if you've got any wrist problems, you can do your plank down here. Keeping that nice long line through the spine, tummy zipped up, slow breaths. Bring the knees down, bottom back to heels, take your child pose. Let's try one last round. Setting up for your hover, coming up. 3 slow breaths. Taking it up into your stretch, walk those legs out. Finding your plank position either on hands or forearms, your choice. Find that nice long line. Zipper done up. Slow breaths. And bring the knees down and back into your child pose. Good. So then from here, we're going to use our band again. This time it's going to go around the arches of our feet. Now if you find that your hamstrings are too tight to sit in this position, you can prop a towel or something underneath your bottom to lift you up a little, because our aim is to get the legs pretty straight with the back straight. If you find you need to bend your knees slightly, that's totally fine. And we're going to pull into a row. So we're going to pull the elbows back, gently broadening across the front of the chest. We're trying to keep tension out of our neck and shoulders, so up top part of our shoulders. We're trying to work the muscles that sit between the shoulder blades. So think about the elbows pulling down and back to help you resist hitching the shoulders up, which a lot of people do. Make sure you're really sitting up as tall as you can, out of your sit bones. We're waking up the muscles that sit between the shoulder blades, that help our neck, help our shoulders, help our general posture. So opening the chest. Good, let's cross the band over. And let's see if we can go a little wider with our row. So elbows out. Keeping that connection between those shoulder blades as you pull. Good. From here, we're going to pull like we're pulling on a bow and arrow. Pull the elbow, gently turn the rib cage. And back to center. We're going to alternate. Pull with the elbow, gently turn the rib cage. And again. Making sure that our rib cage can turn in both directions. Really trying to sit up as tall as you can. And wringing out the spine. Trying to make it that little bit longer. One more time each way. Good job. So we'll pop the band back off. We're going to stretch out the fronts of our hips next. So we're into a kneeling position. Let's step our right foot forward. So we're kneeling on our left knee. We're going to do a little pelvic tilt. So you're tucking the tailbone under. The stretch will be in the front of the left hip. So hip flexor. Reach the left arm up and just take a side bend. Take a few slow breaths. Try and focus the breath into the left side of your ribs here. One more breath into your stretch. And then release that stretch, switching over. Little pelvic tilt to start the stretch. You can squeeze the buttock to help you open the front of that hip flexor. Reaching the right arm up when you're kneeling on that right knee. And side bending. And this time, let's breathe into the right side of our rib cage. And release that stretch. Good. We're going to bring our band with us up into standing. Standing with your feet hip distance apart. Stand as upright as you can, holding on palms facing up. We're going to do some rotator cuff work, so our shoulder stability. As you breathe out, let's pull out on that band and release. And try and stand as upright as you can through your feet, pressing into the mat, and then length through your spine. Keep everything still, except those arms. Gently broadening across the collarbones at the front. As you pull out, it will help you gently slide those shoulder blades together at the back. Let's see if we can do a few more here. For 2 and 1. Good. Bring your hands now the other way, and you might want to take your hands a little bit further apart, maybe just a fraction wider than shoulder distance. Hands below shoulders just, and pull out on your band here. Again, we're opening our chest just like we did when we were lying down. Try and resist the sway of the body to keep the spine still as you pull those hands apart. If you're up for a balance challenge, can you float one leg to tabletop and alternate? Standing really tall through the body, pushing the foot into the floor. Shoulders are working. Let's aim for just one more time, each side. Good job. We can pop the band down. Let's open the chest. Span those fingers wide, palms facing forward. Take some slow breaths. Feeling the front of the chest with your air. If you can, interlink the fingers behind you and stretch that a little bit more through the chest, broadening collarbones. And relax those arms down by your sides. Let's then roll our shoulders a couple of times one way, a couple of times the opposite way. And then let's go into our roll down. So in standing with our feet hip distance apart, stand tall like there's a wall right up behind you. We're going to tuck our chin, roll our head forward, rib cage comes up and over, softness through the knees, taking that down, taking a breath in. As you breathe out, slowly starting to roll back up, segment by segment. Find that upright position. Float the arms, stretch, reach to the ceiling. Take those arms out and around. Let's do that one more time. Nodding our chin, rolling forward, segment by segment. taking a breath in at the bottom. As you breathe out, tuck that tailbone back under. Slowly roll your way up. Float those arms, reach, grow that little bit taller. Let's stay here for a little reach with the right arm and then the left, and really open up the sidelines of the body. And then let's sweep the arms out and around. And let's finish by shrugging our shoulders up and dropping them down away from our ears. Let's do that 2 more times. And last one. Well done, guys. Thanks for joining us today, and keep well and safe.